Barbara, are you a member of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics? Did I say that word right? Dietetics?
Huh? Your name looks familiar to me, Barbara.
No, I'm with the Johnson County Hunger Coalition in Texas. We're under the
Okay.
Baylor. We're underneath Baylor's Hunger Coalition.
Hmm.
So
All right. I think there's another Yoder. I'll have to
there's
try
lots of
and
Yoders. It's like Smith and Jones. And if you're from Ohio or Indiana, we're starting to get more Yoders here in Texas.
Hey, Eric, welcome in.
Hey everyone.
Well, it's 2:05. Maybe we get started.
I agree. I agree. Why don't we get started? Why don't we start with intros? Eric, how long can you stay with us, just out of curiosity?
Oh, I can be on for about 30 minutes.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
all right. So
Yeah.
after the intros, Eric, we'll let you say a few words before we jump into the rest of the content. Um, So I'll just start.
Yeah, kick us off.
Minerva Delgado, Director of Coalitions and Advocacy at the Alliance to End Hunger. Welcome everyone, and I'll kick it over to Aaliyah for those of you who don't know her.
Sounds good. Hi, everybody. It's good to see y'all and happy mid-December. I know the holidays are right around the corner. I'm Aaliyah, HFC Associate at the Alliance, and I'll pass it over to Karen.
Hi everyone. Karen Ahrens, U.S. Policy Manager with the Alliance.
And Eric, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, Eric Mitchell. I'm president of the Alliance.
Glad you could join us today. And then Isosa, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Isosa Udo. I work for Hunger Free Oklahoma, as a hunger outreach program specialist.
Perfect. And Erica, good to see you.
You're on mute.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Erica Debrick Kelly with Hunger Free Kansas.
Perfect. And Esther.
Hi everyone, I'm Esther Liu with Save the Children.
Perfect. And Jill.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jill Panicelli, also from Save the Children.
Amazing. And Barbara, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm the co-chair for the Johnson County Hunger Coalition. We are a coalition underneath Baylor University here in Texas. We've
Amazing.
been around since 2017 and rebooted last year. So we're doing mainly senior and veteran things.
Amazing. Glad you could join us for today. It looks like we'll have a smaller group this December meeting, which is always nice because that gives us more time for any coalition updates that you all may have.
Why don't we start with Eric? I know he wanted to say a few words.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Minerva. Thanks, Aaliyah. I just wanted to just take this time just to personally thank you all for everything that you've done this year. This year, 2025 has been an interesting year, I would say, and there's been a lot of uncertainties. I've been calling it the year of the pivot, where we've had to adjust, reimagine how we're doing our work, reimagine how we are engaging our communities, and the work that you guys are doing as our Hunger Free community partners has just been crucial in those efforts. And so, as we look ahead into 2026, I just wanted to make sure I just finish this year by just personally just thanking you for your work. Thank you for being a part of our coalition. Thank you for trusting in us. There have been times some of you have joined us in virtual Hill meetings. We've been a part of different gatherings throughout the time throughout this year, and we've had a chance to laugh, lean on each other, and sometimes console each other, but be there for each other. And it's because of you, the reason why the Alliance is who we are. And so just thank you again. We look forward to an exciting 2026. And I'll just turn it back over to the team just to continue the conversation. But I just wanted to really just want to express my gratitude to you all as we close out this year.
Thanks, Eric. And we're definitely echoing those thoughts and the appreciation for the work that you all do in your communities and for partnering with us. So we definitely appreciate that. I'll turn it back over to Aaliyah to move us forward with the agenda.
Yeah, no worries. So, um, I wanted to see, I know we did our group intros. If there are any coalition updates that you all have that you want to share, we would definitely love to hear what those are. Any new things you've been working on, that you want to share with the group. Hi, Dexter. Welcome in.
Hello, how are you all?
Good. How's it going? Do you want to introduce yourself to the group real quick?
Sure, my apologies. I'm on my way back from the Tarrant Area Food Bank, but I'm Dexter Baldwin with the East Cleveland Community Center. Glad to join you all today.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. I was just saying that if any group wanted to share about what they're up to, we would love to hear it. I'll open it up to the group.
And Eric, if I can pick on you, I noticed you all are doing a very interesting seminar series or webinar series, which maybe you want to just let folks know about.
Yeah, sure. We've started, I think tomorrow is the third in a 10-part webinar series on food as medicine and local food systems. So we are really, it's a part of a strategy of a blueprint for Hunger Free Kansas that we released earlier in the year. And we're really trying to, bring together a diverse group of stakeholders in two different ways. One is through a broader educational effort. So we have common language and understanding around the food as medicine landscape and local food systems. And so, like I said, a 10-part series, and we are holding monthly webinars. Everyone is welcome, of course, to participate and join. I can include a link in the chat to sign up for our newsletter if you're interested. That's the best place to find out about the webinars that we're holding and the dates. And we're also in the process of building a landing page and a specific web page for this type of work. And then the other approach that we are taking as a part of an ultimate strategy, and I know our friends in Oklahoma have done a lot of great work in this space as well. So we'll be taking and building from your experience. But we're ultimately trying to get to a statewide plan for food as medicine, and hope to have that more in place by middle of next year, at least our process, and whether or not we're going to develop a coalition, what are the policy angles we want to be working towards as a group. So that is certainly a big body of work. And so we're also working with a group of smaller representative tent to really determine what that structure looks like for whether it's a coalition or a committee or where and what the governance looks like, what are our goals, so that will be big work that's happening in 2026. So kicked off this year, but building and a lot more to come. And we really believe like Kansas can help lead the nation in this space, and that we really have a lot of assets to give and to contribute. And we think that the Rural Health Transformation Fund and the application that our state submitted will be a key part of this work too.
That's so exciting. Are the webinars going to be recorded?
They are recorded. The webinars are recorded. I don't know, I think certainly there would be applications for others outside of Kansas. But yeah, I'll be sure to pass along, Aaliyah, the follow-up in where folks can register and learn more.
Amazing.
Yeah, thanks.
And welcome in, Sarah. Did you want to introduce yourself to the group?
Thank you. Sorry, meeting ran over. I think you all know how that goes. Sarah Flores Sievers, the WIC and Farmers Market Director for New Mexico.
Amazing. We were just shouting out some coalition updates and what folks have been up to, if anybody else wanted to share. And if not, then I'll pass it over to Isosa for her presentation.
Hello, everyone. Like I said, I'm with Hunger Free Oklahoma, and I'm a hunger outreach program specialist. And one of the projects that I work on is called hunger-free communities in Perry, Noble County. And I'm just going to do a little overview, just introduction on what that group is and what we do and how it started, and just kind of show some progress and data and how that group is impacting the community that they are in. Yeah, we can go.
And everybody can see the slides, okay? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so this coalition is in Noble County, but we see in a community or a city called Perry. And it started with just researching what the landscape looked like, what food insecurity rates are in the community. And we did see a need based on some of the partners that we worked with. And it started 2019, just doing a little research and really diving in to see how this community is faring when it comes to food insecurity rate. So Noble County landscape shows 19.4 food insecurity rate and 13.8% child food insecurity rate. For free and reduced price percentage, which is really great while working with the schools, it's 61.45% and 60.45% free and reduced price percentage in Perry Public Schools. And about 12.9 are eligible for SNAP, but are not receiving benefits. So one of the major reasons for this research and this group coming together is, first, there's a huge food insecurity rate. A lot of people are talking about food insecurity. Kiddos are going hungry and not being able to access food. So one of the major reasons for this group coming together is really outreach and bringing more awareness around food programs that people are not really tapping into. We can go to the next slide. Okay, so the history of food security work in Perry started with basically just doing a bunch of survey to look at the hunger needs and also the efforts that are already in place, because we don't want to recreate what is already happening, but how can we make what is present better, and how can we come in as an organization to support the work that is already happening and come together and bring amazing partners together to brainstorm what the next steps could look like. After doing surveys, the findings from those surveys were then discussed to see what the outcomes were, and then also collecting insights and just ideas from the group that met. Like, what could we do based on the feedback that we're getting? What are already in place? What are next steps? What are some ideas, right? And also just drafting opportunity snapshot for this community. And also, this is a great time to mention this because this was exactly the timeline where Double Up Oklahoma also launched, and I can talk a little bit on that if anyone has any questions. So it's basically an opportunity for SNAP users to get more money to utilize on fruits and vegetables whenever they utilize their SNAP card to purchase groceries. So this was the same time Double Up Oklahoma launched, which was September 2021. So the group is also thinking, what are some ways that we can utilize this opportunity for this community? Because if they're not just shopping and getting connected to food programs like SNAP, but they can actually earn more whenever they utilize their SNAP dollars. They can earn up to $20 a day to then utilize on fruits and vegetables, which in turn is encouraging eating more healthy produce. We can go to the next slide. Okay, so I included this just to also talk about the summer meals participation. So one of the things that we talked about is outreach and really connecting folks in this community to food programs, but also summer meals participation was another aspect of this that we wanted to really talk about and dive into. So we know that with schools, a lot of kids are connected to food during the school time or school months, but in the summer, a lot of those kids are disconnected or separated from the food access that they have with the school. So one of the things talked about in this group was also how do we increase summer meals participation. Now, this was also COVID time, right? So a lot of those process were in place to get kiddos and the community connected to food resources. So this is just a snapshot to show in 2019, for Noble County, sites per 1,000, so total enrolled students at that time was 0.9%, and sites per 1,000, free and reduced enrollments, enrolled students was 1.6%. So we see that there's an increase between 2019 and 2020, which one of the things mentioned here as well, not just summer meal participation, is also bringing more awareness to the free and reduced meal forms for kids to sign, so we can identify what kiddo needs access to free school meals, especially if they are on SNAP and they can utilize that instead of paying for school meals. We can go to the next slide. And then this is the Double Up redemption for 2021. So not just bringing awareness to meals in school, meals out of school, SNAP to be utilized throughout the year, but also Double Up Oklahoma. So we're telling people, hey, these resources are there. And if you do have SNAP, you can get more, you can earn more when you utilize or go to certain grocery stores. You can utilize this when you go to certain farmers market or mobile market, and you can get vouchers and you can get tokens, and you can utilize this anytime you want on purchasing more fruits and vegetables. So this is a great way to also just stretch SNAP dollars for folks in the community. So this is just a snapshot on the door redemption for the year 2021. We see that the overall redemption rate was 31.47%, and numbers of issued coupons, which it looks different across the state depending on the grocery stores. Some people do give coupons, some people do give vouchers, some farmers market utilize tokens that they can go back and redeem. Number of redeemed coupons for Noble County for the year 2021 was 3,253, and then the value of all issued coupons is 152,221. So we see that, you know, people are utilizing this, and there's more awareness around these food programs and resources for folks to partake in. And we can go to the next slide. And this is just another screenshot of 2022. So I'm just really showing how things have progressed and how things have gotten better. So we see that number reduced coupons, you know, there's more awareness around this. People are utilizing it more, and people, the food insecurity rate is also decreasing. And then this is 2025. And this data that we have is just from January to June of 2025. We see that the overall redemption rate by value is 36.90%, and number of redeemed coupons is 6,002. So there's still a huge gap. And one of the things that we're seeing with this group is because we do meet in Perry, there's been a lot of development in that community, but we're not just representing Perry, it's the entire Noble County. So one of the things that we're trying to do is get more partners involved across the county to share more of these resources and see how we can utilize the resources that we have by sharing the free materials that we have as an organization across these communities to bring more awareness around the food programs that are in place. And we can go to the next slide. Okay, so some opportunities for growth that we have talked about. We've come a long way. This group has achieved a lot, but we're constantly working on building buy-in and support. So constantly communicating and working towards collaboration. We want to make sure that we have the people that we need on this table to be able to talk about what the way forward would look like and what the steps could be. We're also constantly working on strengthening networking. So we're putting words out there. We're trying to reach out to different organizations that are serving these amazing communities to say, hey, we need somebody on this table to kind of talk about what you're doing and just chime in on ways that the work you're doing can be moved forward. Engaging other communities across Noble County. Like I said, we meet in Perry. So one of the challenges that we're seeing is a lot of the organizations that are present in this coalition are located in Perry. So we don't want to only serve that community, but we want to be able to bring more awareness and serve the entire Noble County. And some programmatic opportunities look like SNAP Outreach Networking, which we've come a long way. In Perry, we have multiple people who are SNAP assistance trained. So one of the things that we do as an organization at HFO is we provide SNAP assistance, application assistance training for partners that are interested. So it is online. It takes about an hour, 2 hours, depending. It's flexible. People can start it and finish it at any time they want. It basically just gives them more education around the SNAP application, and the questions, the documents that are needed, some of the challenges that are usually faced, why people do not get approved. And we have folks around Perry that can help community members with application process. And then year-round access to child nutrition programs. So constantly looking at what are ways that kids can tap into food resources, not just in school, but during the summer months and outside of school, after school meals, working with libraries and connecting them with our child nutrition team to be able to serve meals for the after school programs, which is getting kids connected to meals in the school, after schools, and during the summer month. We can go to the next slide. So these are just like a snapshot of some of the Perry partners that we work with and that are on the table, from the Noble County Family YMCA. We have the Oklahoma Human Services. We have folks from the County Health Department there in Noble County, Operation Blessings, the Perry Food Pantry, Perry Ministerial Alliance, and also the Perry Public Schools. And some of the next steps for, I said remainder of 2026, but for 2026 is definitely outreach. So we met in November and our next meeting is in January. And we definitely talked about outreach. We're trying to identify and recruit more partners in Noble County. Like I said, a lot of the partners are present in Perry, but we want to expand this to have more partners across Noble County. So our meetings are virtually, and we have a meeting space. So usually we have folks who would come in, but we also have virtual options for folks who can't come in. We're working on community health needs assessment next year. This is in conjunction with the County Health Department, trying to identify some issues or some things that are present in the community, and to be able to utilize that feedback for the next step for 2026. And also just mapping out assets and needs for the year 2026. So we're working on solidifying the goals for 2026 and what that would look like. And my name is Isosa Udo, and this is my contact and my email. I'm really excited to be here today and just share on the amazing things that this group is working on.
Awesome. Amazing. Thank you so much. And I'll be sure to share these slides out with your contact information and put them on our website. Did anyone have any questions for Isosa?
I think I see a question in the, sorry, go ahead.
Yes. My question is how can you share about how in the efforts that you described, the regional food bank or the local food pantries are involved? What does that look like to partner with those types of organizations?
So we do have the regional, with the food banks involved. We have folks that are present around that County, and they come to meetings sometimes, depending on availability. And also the Perry Public Schools also work with the food banks. They get these boxes that they can give out to kids in the schools. And also just I know when we had a meeting in November, there's a lot of boxes going out for the holidays, because we know that's also a time where we see issues with food insecurity during Thanksgiving, during the holidays. So the food banks usually just, work with different partners in Noble County to be able to push out like food boxes or blessing boxes and things like that. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
Thank you. And a second part of this question is I'm just curious to know, as I'm learning about how this type of coalition work can augment the work of other partners too. If there have been any instances of coalition work spurring on food banks or food pantries to think differently about food access or to do more, that would be really great to hear as well.
Could you repeat that question? Sorry.
Yes, sorry, it was a long one. Are there instances where this type of coalition work has spurred food banks or food pantries to think about doing their work a little bit differently, or to do more?
So based on the feedback, like for surveys in the past, and also we're working on the CHNA for next year. So usually with those feedback, we just report it out. We share with the partners that we have contact with, and they can report what the community members are facing. And sometimes we have given suggestions, and then, just kind of going back to the drawing board for them to see how they can kind of change what they do in that community based on the feedback. I don't think there's like a particular instance that I can give, but usually that's what we do. We just share out to different partners and also do presentations also during our conference, just to kind of share some of the things that we get from surveys, and some of the things that we hear, some of the reports that we hear from partners, and about the challenges that community members are facing. And then we just share that out. And also sometimes we come up with suggestions like, these are some things that we would suggest to, organizations serving different communities. But that's all that I feel like we've done so far regarding that question.
Thank you.
And Sarah, I see you have your hand raised.
Yes, thank you for the information. I appreciate that. The topic of this. Just a few questions. I was wondering, have you reached out, of course, I have my WIC hat on, to your local WIC clinic? Because I know we have a limited population. But I'm sure like with your county, we have a lot of grandparents raising grandkids. We have a lot of fosters that we serve. So we're just so much more than WIC, than just with the women that people sometimes don't know that we can serve so many others. And then also we work really closely because of those populations that I described. We do a lot of food outreach and outreach events together with our aging, because again, we can support so many of our seniors, also informing them that WIC does this, so an additional benefit on top of all that you're doing. And then also, of course, with SNAP, we partner with them just to get the word out there and also educate their internal staff, because sometimes they don't know and they just need a friendly reminder. So that's really worked for us as well. So I just wanted to add that if you didn't already have that on your radar.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Yes, we do share information about WIC as well, and how we have like a map on some of the WIC offices across the county that folks can reach out to, and how it's very important to tap into those resources. So yes, we do share information about WIC.
And one other thing too, we're really active with all of our local food banks because again, we're all serving the same community, regardless of the program. And so What I found out, because I know there's a stipend that the food banks get once they process their SNAP applications. And so since they're already there looking for additional resources, now they also have WIC information below the SNAP, because sometimes we're like little stepchild. And so they can click and automatic have a link and then go directly to our site, fill out the online application, and someone will call as well. We're just trying to help educate and streamline. So maybe that's something your local food pantry is willing to do as well. So, and I'm happy to provide any guidance or what templates that we've done.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sarah. So one of the things that I didn't mention is we have a Shopify store where we provide free outreach materials to different organizations. And most of our flyers have SNAP, WIC. We also talk about FIDPR. We talk about other food resources. So, and like Double Up, especially in communities that have those grocery stores. So yes, but I would definitely love to connect because we've been trying to see how we can bring someone who provides WIC across Noble County in this space, but it's never worked out with the schedule because we want them to be part of this as well. So I'd love to connect.
Please reach out. I work so closely with Christina, the WIC director. I know you all have contract agencies, but we can definitely make that happen. Just let me know.
Thank you, Sarah.
Amazing. Were there any other questions or comments for ISOSA? Go ahead, Karen.
Great. Thank you. It's so great to hear what your coalition is doing in Oklahoma. I just have a question, and I love how you've been able to show that you've increased the redemption of the nutrition incentives. Has the defunding of SNAP Ed impacted what you're doing there?
Yeah. There was so much fear during that time with, SNAP being paused and all of that. But one of the things that we kind of channeled is the partners just said, you know what we're going to focus on is we're going to focus on the now and how to connect folks to food resources. So that is one of the things that we're coming together in January to really talk about. But I feel like there's been also one of the things that we've seen is there's also a little bit of fear with certain community folks tapping into some of the resources. So what we do is we just encourage. We're like, you know what? This is great. There's also a lot of like fear with, I don't think I'm going to qualify. I tried before and things like that. So we just connect them to our hotline that helps with the application process as well as the renewal process. And we're like, you know what? The best thing that you could do is just apply and then see if you qualify or not. But yes, it did impact the efforts somewhat because a lot of organizations had to realign and restructure. And we had folks who were part of this coalition who their department or their department got shut down. So which limits the efforts that we were making, but we're not letting that stop us because 2026 in January, our plan is really coming together and just working on like our goals. We already have certain goals, but working on the goals and also just really talking about what next steps would look like because we have, like I said, we had some folks who worked with certain organizations that are not working there anymore, right? And that impacts the community or the population that they serve. So we're trying to see how do we bridge those gaps regardless of not having those people present anymore.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your presentation. We're so glad to have you part of the network now. And again, I'll be sure to share your contact and those slides and bridge those connections with Sarah later on. Before I pass it off to Karen, there were a couple folks who joined the call who may want to introduce themselves. Bree, did you want to introduce yourself to the group?
Sure. My name is Bree Kellogg. I am a programs manager at Beyond Hunger, which is on the west side of Chicago. in the near suburbs of the west side of Chicago.
Amazing. Good to see you.
Good to see
And
you.
Alex, did you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi everybody. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna keep my camera off because I'm actually homesick with my daughter. I
Oh
didn't,
no.
the group doesn't know, but we had a baby this year.
Oh, congratulations.
So thank you. Yeah, but we're not looking presentable today, I'll say.
Okay.
Anyway, for those of you who haven't, I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Alex. I work with a nonprofit outside the Dayton region in Southwest Ohio called the Hull Hunger Initiative. We're really collaboratively focused group. So we work with farmers and food system developers and a lot of leaders like the food bank and housing agencies and governments in our region to work to strengthen our local food system. So I really appreciated that presentation that just saw. And I'd love to talk with the group a little bit more. One of the projects we're looking at kicking off, and I think it's certainly slightly different than what we just heard, but is really looking at how we can get more locally sourced produce into a Head Start program, one of the pre-K programs in our region. I know they follow CACFP guidelines. So if anybody on this call has resources and information, I can drop my email in the chat and I'd love to hear from you. But we're looking at kicking that off in 2026. So I'll leave it there. But I'm really glad we've missed so many Alliance meetings this year. So I'm really glad I was able to jump on this last one. And it's good to
Yes.
see everybody. Yeah.
It's good to hear your voice and
Thanks.
congratulations on the baby and feel better.
Thank you. Thanks.
And then lastly, Harumi, I see you here if you wanted to introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Harumi. I'm the City of Alexandria's Food Security Coordinator. Fairly new to the to this role, so I'm just listening in. We're also I'm also on the board of Hunger Free Alexandria, and now I understand it's part of the Hunger Free communities.
Well,
Nice
thank
meeting
you
you
for
all.
joining us today. Okay, with that, I will pass it off to Karen for our policy update. Let me share your slides. One second, here we go. All right, can everybody see the slides? I hope so. I think you should be able to.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right.
All right, everybody. Phew. It has been a year, right? There is so much here that we've been through, but it builds upon. And as some of the things that happened earlier in the year are now coming home to roost, I will try and keep this short. I am definitely willing to share the slides afterwards, Aaliyah, and also available if anyone has questions. So yes, please continue on. We know that for 6 weeks or so, the government shut down and that it impacted most of our federal nutrition programs. And next slide. WIC was on shaky ground for a time, and of course, SNAP. If you want to go to the next slide, I have a question for everyone. If you want to just enter in the chat box, how long did it take for all the SNAP participants in your state to receive their November benefits? Because we had this half benefits. Oh, wait, no, do more. Some states went ahead and issued the full benefits. So I'm just curious to know, in your state, how long did it take for all the SNAP participants in your state to receive November benefits, if you know that? Because for some, it was nearly to the end of November that they went before receiving their benefits. So that's a lot of time. And New Mexico, again, just doing a great job in helping families be able to make sure they can access food. It wasn't the same in all states. So thank you for those of you who shared, continue to share if you are able. And the next slide. The reason that the government entered shutdown is because by the beginning of the federal fiscal year on October 1st, 2025, the Congress was unable to come to an agreement on and didn't have funding packages for the 12 appropriations bills. So they couldn't agree, and then the government entered into shutdown. There was a continuing resolution of the government that finally went in on November 21st, which kind of ended the SNAP situation. But they still weren't able to pass all those appropriations bills. And so they had to do a second continuing resolution, which now goes until January 30th, 2026. There is some talk, one of the three appropriations bills that did pass covers most of our federal nutrition programs. The Ag HHS bill, no, I'm sorry, the Ag FDA Rural Development Bill, Ag FDA Rural Development, did pass. And there was full funding provided for the WIC program, continued along with funding for the SNAP program. But as we approach, it's going to be just around the corner, January 30th, and there's some talking going on bipartisanly and between the two houses of Congress, but nothing is really sure. Will they be able to pass some more full bills, such as the labor HHS appropriations bill? And within that bill is funding for our senior nutrition programs. So we are keen to support the efforts of our members, Meals on Wheels America, and others who are looking for additional funding to be added to the senior meals programs, because there are waiting lists across the country for people who wish to take part in Meals on Wheels. And a reason that some people were not able to, in the absence of SNAP, get connected with Meals on Wheels or congregate feeding programs. So those deliberations continue. And always of a concern at this time is if funding that's approved will get pulled back by things called impoundments and rescissions. So it adds to a bit of hesitancy, especially among those in the minority parties in Congress. Next slide. And we have rolling out now the impacts of HR 1, that big bill. Next slide. As you all know, this bill has made foundational changes to the SNAP program, requiring states for the first time ever to pay for a portion of SNAP food benefits. And it's estimated that it will take away $187 billion from SNAP over the next 8 years. Also estimated that 4 million people in a month will lose some or all of their SNAP benefits. Feeding America has estimated in the past that 6 billion meals may be lost. As you know, we talked a little bit about earlier, SNAP education, SNAP Ed the funding was eliminated, and it really does impact the least of those among us. Next slide. So what is happening now is going to impact those error rates, and the error rates determine the state share of SNAP food benefits. Because starting with the fiscal year 2025, those error rates during that time will impact the error rate, and the percentage of error rate impacts the percentage that states will have to pay. So again, this is happening, not the only thing coming and pinging on state government budgets, but additive to additional contributions for Medicaid and others. On top of that, 26 states have cut or eliminated their state income taxes in the last 4 or 5 years. And so where will state dollars be found? Next slide. There have been estimates on how many people are at risk of losing some amount of SNAP under the GOP bill. And there was a nice map shared out of Newsweek earlier this year. Center on Budget and Policy Priorities has some estimates that were made earlier on. And we're hearing from the center that they will be having more updated state level estimates for the impacts of these changes in SNAP in a large report coming out at the beginning of January. And we'll share that out. So be looking for that from us or other partners in your state. Next slide. The things that are really coming home now is states having to implement these changes to the SNAP program, to the SNAP application, to the SNAP computer system, to the SNAP training of employees, to the SNAP eligibility interviews that they do, and the information they collect from the people who will take part in SNAP. So at the same time as states were dealing with a shutdown and trying to get these things going, during the shutdown, there was limited access to technical assistance from the USDA. We continue to hear that that there remains to be limited response to questions on getting help with these things. So we continue to monitor and are working forward on how to address. Next slide. One of the newer things that has come up in the last couple of weeks is the lawfully permanent resident SNAP eligibility. So to implement that big bill, SNAP issued guidance that would exclude refugees, asylees, and human trafficking survivors, which reversed what had been protections for people. There were 2 lawsuits and continually updated guidance that have gone on in the last few weeks. But as of yesterday, a court injunction is in place to April 2026 to give states more time to implement this and to clarify that the people that USDA before said were excluded from receiving SNAP or the 5-year waiting period are not. So that will continue to play out in every state and county. Next. There is also a public charge proposed rule that comments for which are due at the end of this week on Friday. So public charge is what happens to a person who is looking to become living in the United States. And so one of the things that the government looks at is, will this person be a public charge or someone who is likely to become mainly dependent on government cash assistance that requires support by the government? And these public charge determinations are made during applications for green cards or visas. So our partners at the Alliance, like the National WIC Association, Share Our Strength, and Unidos US, are encouraging people and groups to weigh in against the proposed changes. The changes that the government is proposing would make it more vague, the rules around this public charge, and making it less clear, and that officials who make the decisions would have more leeway to determine who or who would not be a public charge. And that could also include if people were thinking that they could be taking part in federal nutrition programs. So there are links that are live within the document, and if you want to join in on making public comments, those links will be there for you. Next slide. Just a reminder on how error rates impact the state's cost shares, and that those with the highest rates will have more time to implement the changes and before the SNAP cost shares go into effect. Next slide. And also some information on how these cost shifts impact state and county governments. Again, there's a live link that you can check on if you are interested for more information. Next slide. And then also the changes in SNAP eligibility relating to age and age of adults, age of parents, and homeless individuals, veterans, and foster youth, as well as exemptions, more exemptions for Indians, urban Indians, to participate in SNAP. Next slide. So about a month ago, the Restoring Food Security for American Families and Farmers Act was introduced is more of a messaging bill. All the legislators in the House and the Senate who support this bill are of one party, the Democratic Party, and it's an attempt to roll back all the SNAP provisions in H.R. 1. Nonetheless, they're trying, and it was introduced in the House and Senate. Well, with the current makeup of Congress, it's not likely that this bill will pass. Other efforts are being made to try and reduce the harm from that big bill. So the next phase we're moving into now is that anti-hunger groups, state and county government groups are requesting to delay implementation of the SNAP state benefit and administrative cost shifts. We're starting to hold meetings on the Hill with committees and caucuses and individual legislators. So sometime we hope, we know that constituent voices are very important in these meetings, and we may reach out to you to see if it's possible for you to join in some meetings to help make the case on why states need to wait. They need more time to implement these things. Next slide. The administration continues to roll out some changes in the area of federal food and nutrition. There have now been 18 waivers in states for SNAP pilots to restrict some of the things that people can buy with their SNAP benefits. And Luke Elzinga shared in a listserv a little earlier that it is so crazy that in one case, people would not be able to purchase a fruit cup if it had a spoon with it with their SNAP benefits. On the other hand, they might be able to purchase an angel food cake with a fork with their SNAP benefits. So it's going to be different across states. It's going to be very confusing for the people who participate in SNAP benefits, for the people who work in the grocery stores to carry this out. And so these start happening in 2026. Next slide. Yeah, we're running out of time, so you'll have this information. And the last thing is there is some hope springs eternal that a farm bill will be brought forward in the first quarter of 2026, but we'll see because they have a lot on the agenda. I wanted to echo Eric's wishes earlier in the meeting to thank you all for your efforts. It's been a lot this year, but please know that your advocacy matters. I hope that you rest over the holiday time and can come back refreshed and able to keep going in the new year. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Karen.
Karen. Does anyone have questions for Karen on any of the policy updates? And just please remember us as a resource if you ever have any questions or just want to chat with us about what you're doing on some of these federal policies. And as Karen said, you know, where there are opportunities for us to engage you with in meetings with federal legislators that represent your state, we'll definitely be reaching out for that. Okay. Anything for Karen? All right. Well, we don't have much time left, so I won't take up too much time. I did want to share with you all, you know, obviously our summit is the big event that we do every year, and we're so thrilled this past year to be able to have Representative Chantel Brown is our keynote speaker. She was incredibly engaging and powerful, and just having someone who's been on Snap and can humanize that experience to be able to kick off our conference, I think was a wonderful way to begin that. And then we wrapped up, of course, with giving Hunger Free Oklahoma the HFC Award this year for all of the amazing work that they're doing. Overall, we get a lot of positive feedback for the conference, but are always very happy to hear from you about any suggestions in terms of content moving forward. And of course, you know, when we start planning this like mid-year, look forward to getting workshop proposals from you, and certainly want to engage you all in terms of developing that content. So I don't know if any of you were able to attend the summit or portions of the summit this year, and if you want to share any feedback that you might have right now. Okay. So we did get, in terms of the evaluation forms, thanks, Erica, take care. In terms of the evaluation forms, we did get really positive feedback, but always look forward to hearing from you. So if you want to reach out to me offline or have suggestions for next year's summit, we look forward to that. So I think we'll wrap up now. Thank you all for your partnership. We so appreciate all of you and hope you have wonderful, happy holidays. I'll leave it to Aaliyah to sign us off.
No problem. Thanks, everybody. Happy holidays. We'll see you in 2026.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.